Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I'm Li Yutong, head of the Center for Sustainable Agricultural Mechanization, CSAM, of the United Nations Economic and Social Commission for Asia and the Pacific, ESCAP. On behalf of CSAM, I would like to extend a warm welcome to all of you to this webinar on impact of COVID-19 on agriculture in the Asia Pacific and the role of mechanization. Today's webinar is being organized at a critical juncture when we are seeing the unfolding impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on the agriculture sector, a sector which is so directly linked to food and nutrition security, livelihoods, and rural development. In the webinar, we will discuss two specific areas, namely, 1. How has the COVID-19 pandemic impacted the agriculture sector in Asia and the Pacific? And what measures are being taken to address the impact? 2. How can we build long-term resilience to future crises through sustainable agricultural mechanization? So we will focus on these two areas today in this webinar. I'm very pleased and honored to introduce to you our key speaker and the panelist. The opening speaker is Mr. Kavi Zahid, Deputy Executive Secretary, United Nations Economic and Social Commission for Asia and the Pacific, ESCAP. Panelists include Mr. Soluchana Losanta Noel Wekeraman Sulia, President of Agriculture Machinery, Manufacturers and Suppliers Association from Sri Lanka. Mrs. Darius Kitiopas, Inspector General, Ministry of Agriculture and Cooperatives, and the President, Thai Society of Agriculture Engineering, Thailand. Dr. Jae Hong Son, Team Leader, National Institute of Agriculture Science, Rural Development Administration, Republic of Korea. Mr. Cao Guangqiao, Deputy Director General, Nanjing Institute for Agricultural Mechanization, Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Affairs, People's Republic of China. Before we proceed, I would like to make some housekeeping announcements. 1. Speakers are requested to mute yourselves when not speaking. 2nd, participants will have an opportunity to ask questions at the end of the webinar via YouTube chat. 3rd, participants will be invited to complete a post-webinar feedback survey. 4thly, webinar will be recorded. I will now invite Mr. Kavi Zahid, Deputy Executive Secretary of ESCAP, to please deliver welcome remarks. So please, say yes.
Thank you very much, Yutong. Distinguished panelists, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, a good morning to all of you from Bangkok. On behalf of the UN Economic and Social Commission for Asia and the Pacific, it really gives me a great pleasure to welcome you to this webinar on the impact of COVID-19 on agriculture in Asia Pacific and on the role that mechanization can play in response and recovery. I, of course, want to first thank my colleagues, including Yutong, at the Center for Sustainable Agricultural Mechanization, CSAM, a regional institute of ESCAP, for organizing this event. It also makes me very, very happy to be reconnecting to some of the colleagues that I was fortunate enough to meet and work with in the last Governing Council in Korea. I guess we all know that in the span of a few months, there is virtually no aspect of our lives, of human life, that has been left untouched by the COVID-19 pandemic. And as is so often the case with crisis, the pandemic has hit the poor, the vulnerable, and the marginalized disproportionately hard, depriving many of their lives and indeed of their livelihoods. And this is a scenario that is still playing out in our region. But even before the pandemic, some 400 million people in the Asia-Pacific region were living in extreme poverty. What's more, according to our fellow UN agencies, even at the start of the crisis, over 10 million children under 5 in Asia were suffering from wasting, and 78 million were stunted. So the current situation obviously aggravates the difficulties that many families already face in terms of access to affordable, healthy diets. And as a large proportion of the vulnerable families in our region live in rural areas and are dependent on agriculture for their livelihoods, the impact of COVID-19 on the agricultural sector simply must not be forgotten. A preliminary regional level survey of stakeholders that was done by our colleagues at CSAM recently provided some indication of the nature and of the severity of the impact across the value chain. The restrictions on transportation have limited the availability of key agricultural inputs for field operations. They've also made it difficult, of course, for farmers to market and sell agricultural produce, leading to food loss and income stability, not just within countries, but across countries. Restrictions on movement have also led to shortages of labor for agriculture, especially those dependent on seasonal labor. And the pandemic has simply jeopardized inter- and intra-regional trade, raising the possibility of food insecurity in importing countries, and of course, the loss of livelihood in the exporting countries. We're fortunate that we'll be hearing much more about the impacts of COVID on the agricultural sector from our panelists in a moment. But I think what is already clear is that the impact of COVID-19 on the agricultural sector is going to slow down progress on the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development in Asia and the Pacific, especially the goals and targets on poverty, the goals and targets on achieving zero hunger. But more broadly, really, COVID has the potential to reverse hard-fought gains achieved in recent years, if not achieved in recent decades, across many of the SDGs. But as the United Nations Secretary General has said, and I quote, "We can avoid some of the worst impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic on food security and nutrition, and we can do so in a way that supports the green transition that we need to make," end quote. So today, we will discuss not just the challenges, but also the green transition solutions that can give meaning to building back better or leaving no one behind. And for this, again, we have distinguished panelists to speak about building resilience to future crises through sustainable mechanization. And sustainable agricultural mechanization is, of course, among the solutions that can strengthen the resilience of the farming community to crisis. It can increase agricultural productivity and therefore safeguard incomes, including for resource-poor smallholder farmers, the most vulnerable. And at the same time, it can help to reduce food loss, alleviating labor shortages, and enhancing capacities to cope with climate change. So a vital part of our toolkit as we respond to COVID-19. Indeed, sustainable agricultural mechanization really is imperative for the transition to a path of more modern, more resilient agriculture that can bring higher rural incomes in our region. Of special significance is the role of technology and innovation. Emerging information and communication technology, or ICT, enabled mechanization solutions like autonomous equipment, precision agriculture, and mobile applications all hold great promise for transforming our agriculture and, importantly, for enhancing our resilience. Another key area, of course, is post-harvest mechanization, which can help to reduce losses, increase incomes for farmers, and enable them to move up the value chain. And I look forward to hearing so much more about all of these areas from our panelists and from the discussions today. But in conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, I just wanted to say that I trust that the webinar today is going to help us to better understand the impacts of COVID-19 on agriculture in our region, as well as how mechanization solutions can already help us to emerge stronger and more resilient from this crisis. I very much look forward to really a vibrant round of discussions and to learning so much more today. Thank you very much, and back to you, Yutong.
Thank you very much for your very warm and thoughtful welcome remarks, DDS. Thank you so much. So next, it is my great pleasure to moderate the following discussions in the webinar. There were two sessions. The first session titled Impact of COVID-19 on Agriculture Sector in Asia and the Pacific, Country Perspectives. Well, we have the honor to invite two presenters to make presentations in this session. First of all, I would like to invite Ms. Daris Kittiyopas, Inspector General, Ministry of Agriculture and the Cooperatives, and the President, Thai Society of Agriculture Engineering, Thailand, to make the presentation on country perspective from Thailand. So floor is yours, Daris, and you have 8 minutes, please.
Hello, everybody. I'm Daris Kittiyopas. Nice to meet you in this webinar. Today, I will talk with you about the impact of the COVID-19 on agriculture in the Asia-Pacific and role of mechanization in the Thailand perspectives. Next, please. Yeah. How has the COVID-19 pandemic impacted the agricultural sector in Thailand? Next. Next, please. Next slide, please. Yeah. So we, at the first stage of the country lockdown measures, we also have the panic stage about the border restriction, the transportation restriction, inordinate constraint in export and agricultural products, and about the stockpiling of the food and consumable products that is happened in the first stage of our measures, and we got that for like 2-3 weeks. Yeah. Next, please. Yes. And we face on the around 700,000 of foreign workers went back from Thailand to their homeland, also impact some of agricultural sector. Yeah, that is happened. And about the financial status, it is about to affect our income to decrease on 25%, and about the extra income, it is decreased on about 35%, and about the saving, decreasing 27%, and the debt increasing around 25%. That is effect to our income from the COVID-19. Yeah, and but I may say that we did the good thing about to recover. Now Thailand ranks as the best country to have recovered from COVID-19 in Asia, and ranks second as recovering successfully from COVID-19 worldwide. So right now we are the 20 consecutive days without a domestic case. So I think that we did good, and about to affect with our business. will be better. So I would like to share you the next slide. Yeah. Now it is increasing in export growth rate for agricultural and agricultural industry products. It's come back. The sugar, we are plus 17% comparing to the last quarter. And about the fruit, vegetable, the fresh fruit, and also the processed fruit, vegetable, the cans, fruit, something. That is 10% comparing to -7 of the last quarter. That is better. And because maybe because of we are the agricultural production. And about the freeze and processed chicken, we are also a little bit higher than the last quarter, like to 7.2. And also the pet food, it is 11% from 10% of the last quarter. So then I think that for affecting of the COVID-19, not much affecting in about the exporting business, and our production are still good and seems better today. Yeah. Next slide, please. Next, please. Yeah. And the new normal behavior that we are faced in. It is about the online shopping and delivery service. Korea has seen growth. So that is become our new normal. And I think that everybody comes up to do the using the screen and the IoT. So then that is also affect to our agriculture. So now the customer order the agriculture by online. So so next, please. Through the crisis, way forward for agriculture in Thailand. Yeah. Next, please. Next, please. Next slide. Yes. Yeah. As you may know, now we are starting using the smart farming in Thailand, like a drone survey and drone spraying for chemical and biological application. The GPS RTK system are starting using in Thailand, tractor, auto guidance and steer, and IoT big data and the controlling in the greenhouse. The mobile application used in controlling some of the system in our agriculture are start using in Thailand. Next, please. Next. Next slide, please. Yeah. And what about the new screen in our next agriculture after COVID-19? The National Economic and Social Recovery Policy in agriculture sector. We are along with the sustainable growth for the future. We will strengthen on the smart agriculture, about to precision farming, collaborative farm, high value agriculture products. That is our target. and about the food industry and also the food security, and also about the food quality from the agriculture and from our food industry will be strengthened. And also surely that it including the bio diversity. And about the agricultural industry in direction, uh, we will strengthen on the enhancing by agri-tech, the drive by young, we will drive by young farmer, and the operation by precision machineries, the quality control by standardization, the service by market need, and transport by Q logistic, the quality logistic. That is our target in uh, us, on us in Thailand. Yeah, that's it. Next, please. Next, please. Yeah, that is all of my presentation. Thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you very much, Darius, for your very comprehensive introduction of the impact of COVID-19 on agriculture Thailand. We are so glad to hear that Thailand is rapidly and successfully recovering from this crisis, and the export and delivery services are picking up again. So thank you very much, Darius. Next, I would like to invite Mr. Lasanta Vikramasone, President of Agriculture Machinery Manufacturers and Suppliers Association from Sri Lanka, to make the presentation on country perspective from Sri Lanka. So, Lasanta, please, it's your floor.
Thank you, Yutong, and good morning, everybody from around the world who is listening to this presentation. I'm happy on behalf of Sri Lanka and the Agriculture Machinery Association to make this brief presentation. Next, please. Yeah, so give you a quick perspective of what happened to Sri Lanka, the economic impact, the overall economic impact. We are an island nation and depends a lot on our foreign exchange earnings to meet our expenditures. So the main three lines of foreign exchange earnings in terms of foreign employment remittances, the apparel and textile exports and tourism were all affected because of the lockdown. The other significant sectors that were impacted were the construction and engineering, the retailing and the consumer markets, and of course the banking sector. Next, please. And as a result, we anyway have a trade deficit, but the fall in foreign exchange reserves, the foreign exchange earnings had an immediate impact on the erosions of the foreign reserves, which compelled the government to introduce some stringent temporary import restrictions. Next, please. So with that in the background and with the COVID impact coming into Sri Lanka as well at a very early stage, the fears were around with the lockdown coming in about the disconnectivity to the logistics and the transportation in the overall market. So there were concerns about how the agriculture inputs are going to get affected, then also about mobilizing labor for production as a result of the shortage coming as a result again of the lockdown, and then consequently to the interruption to the trade, and therefore overall where the produce also cannot be sold because of the transportation issues, would then bring about a disruption in overall agriculture production, which could eventually lead to a social instability. And this worried all the multiple stakeholders, including the government. And of course, it was too early for people to realize, but there was a lot of fears. We too had our panic situations at the beginning, but I'll tell you how they were eventually overcome. Next, please. So it's very important for you to really understand where Sri Lanka was in this lockdown period. We initiated the lockdown on the 17th of March. And if you look, the period from the 17th of March to the 31st March was the tail end of the Maha harvest season. We have two seasons, Maha and Yala. Maha is connected with the northeast monsoons and Yala is with the southwest. So fortunately, almost 95% of the harvesting was over by the time the lockdown came, and we were virtually at the very tail end of harvesting for that particular season. But the traditional Sri Lankan New Year starts around the 14th of April, and following that starts the second season, which is called the Yala season, the southwest. And then there were therefore fears that production was going to get affected, which would mean that it would be virtually a dead season. Because also in regard to the importation of machinery, distribution of parts, getting the machineries through the dealer network to the villages, etc., were going to get affected. So this was of prime concern because we were right in the middle of starting a new season. Next, please. So from a farmer's perspective, yes, so the restrictions or the lockdowns that came about was definitely going to impact the cultivation operations, the mobilization of labor, moving into farms for cultivation. It would also affect the maintenance because when the machine starts to work, naturally maintenance support cannot reach out from the distributors to the farmers. And significantly, the financing, there were two aspects. One, those who already borrowed, the seasonal repayments were falling due, and therefore, with difficulties in disposing the stocks when the market is closed, would result in the repayment of loans. And for those farmers who would have been looking to buy the new machinery, again, finance institutions were not available because of the lockdown. So it had a double effect. And then, of course, particularly for the fresh produce people, fruits and vegetables, and the animal husbandry, that area, livestock, had a problem about disposing their produce. Paddy, of course, the farmers could store it at least in the short run, but for fresh produce, there were initial issues with the bumper crops coming in about the disposable. Some wholesale markets were open, but the logistics were not perfect right at the start, and this was a major concern again. Next, please. Moving on to the agriculture machinery side, we as a country don't very limited with our manufacturing facilities, and therefore the important thing was mostly with the distributors. They had an issue with the incoming logistics with the temporary suspensions brought in, and also operations, like I said, on the mobilization of staff, distribution of machinery, and of course supporting the sales and financing staff. These companies also had the effect of the financing because of the financial systems coming to a virtual halt. Next, please. So the government rose to the occasion very, very positively, and this is a plus point for Sri Lanka. The government prioritized agriculture. They realized, they sensed the problems, prioritized agriculture as a major important area for Sri Lanka, mobilized the tri-forces, the Army, Navy, and the Air Force, mobilized the state administration sector, removed all the barriers, and allowed farmers to move about, in spite of the curfew, to freely move about, go about their production without any hindrance. They also supported some of the requests that we made from the association for our staff to move around. Police responded very friendly by issuing curfew passes to the country. And then the government also suspended 16 agriculture crops that are currently being imported and encouraged the farmers to move into production of those areas. Of course, those will take a little longer term, but those encouragements have already come in. Next, please. This is in the local language, but it essentially says, defeat Corona, let's win the food war. This emphasizes the impact or the importance the government has put for agriculture. Next, please. So going forward, the recommendations that we would make is that one is that for our machinery suppliers from overseas markets to kindly support our importers by providing 90 to 120 days credit as requested by the government till the temporary suspensions are eased. The suspensions are not for agriculture machinery, but they have requested us to obtain credit from our suppliers. Secondly, there's an urgent need to start developing farm machinery for the non-paddy segment as a matter of priority. And particularly, we need to keep in mind that the majority or the bottom of the pyramid is that people who hold farmers holding less than 2 hectares. And there's a lot of female employment in this sector, and therefore gender-friendly machinery, user-friendly machinery for female workers is one aspect that we encourage the manufacturers to focus on. Next, please. And also going forward, this is a long-term solution we have to work, and I would request CSAM's initiations on this as well, to look for long-term financial solutions using perhaps the Asian Development Bank to submit refinancing schemes for small-scale farm machinery owners, and also for the manufacturers to consider establishing assembly operations and storage facilities in proximity to markets so that speed to get into markets can be facilitated. We can avoid, in future, if there are similar situations, we can avoid the delays in the logistical issues that we face this time. And also, particularly in the post-harvest mechanization issues, should be focused on going from now. And we'll also need to build a contingency plan to obviously, this is not the end of the situation. We will have similar situation in the future, and therefore to try and look at a contingency plan to face a similar situation in the future too. And that is where I conclude my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lasanta, for your outlining the farmer's perspective as well as the perspective of agricultural machinery importers and distributors. So it is very important for us to know that very positive measures has been taken by the government to contain the impact of COVID-19 on agriculture, which is very important and very practical recommendations from you. Thank you very much, Lasanta. I would also ask one question for your two presenters, Darius and Lasanta. So you mentioned about these young farmers or distributors. So I would like to use 1 or 2 minutes to tell us what particularly measures has been implemented in your country to assist smallholder farmers at this very difficult time for smallholders. So Darius, please. Darius, please unmute. Yeah, we cannot.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. For our country, we have the strategy in about to taking in the smallholder problem. It is about to use the collaborative farm, which hold the smallholder farmers together, organizing together, and use the farm machineries together. And that is the thing that we do. Yeah, and we will do more. Yes. Hello.
Sorry, can't hear you.
Yes. So, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
How about the country?
Two specific things I can talk about is one is the government stepped in to provide a moratorium on the loans, which helped the farmers. In fact, so there's a 6 months moratorium on the loans they have taken. And number two, they introduce different loan schemes through the state bank for the very small farmer who depends on the domestic, his land holding. They are given up to 40,000 rupees at 4% interest, no guarantors, no questions asked. You just go in and you get it. For those who are slightly beyond the small scale, little beyond the small scale, say 2 to 5 hectares perhaps, those who had ongoing projects of cultivation and there was any damage caused, they'll be given loans up to 500,000 rupees at 4% interest with some guarantees coming in. So those are very specific measures, and right now there's a task force operating. They are planning out the future of agriculture. They're definitely going to encourage more and more cultivation, import substitutions, and therefore for the industry it augurs very well. I think in mechanization solutions, like I said, for fruit and vegetables particularly, there's a vast opportunity, a scope to expand in this area. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the introduction about the specific measures taken for the smallholders in Thailand and Sri Lanka. Very useful. Thank you very much. Now, I would like to move to the next session titled Building Resilience to Future Crises Through Sustainable Mechanization. And there will be same two presenters who will make presentations in this session. First, I would like to invite the first presenter, Dr. Han Jae-hong Son, Team Leader, National Institute of Agricultural Science, Euro Development Administration, Republic of Korea. So his presentation title is How ICT-enabled mechanization can support farmers during COVID-19 and build long-term resilience. So floor is yours, Dr. Song, and you have 8 minutes. Please.
Hi, nice to all of you. This is Song Jae-hoon from the RDA of Republic of Korea. Today, next please. Before please. Today I'm going to talk about sustainable mechanization using ICT technology, one way to recover from COVID-19. Okay. To overcome the difficulties caused by COVID-19, Korea government provides emergency disaster relief fund to all citizens, maximum of $830 for families of 4 or more families. Students aim to being going to school to prevent the spread of COVID-19. There is no school meal serving for students. In the end, no consumption agricultural products. Next, please. Yeah. The biggest feature of COVID-19's response is non-facing. When a new agricultural machinery was introduced, the industry has gathered the farmers to explain the characteristics of the machine and how to use it. But since they can't do that from this year, the industries were making and using video and YouTube. At this time, it is important to take a video from various angles and explain it in detail. So the farmers need to know how to check or operate the video by themselves. Next, and play the video, please. Play, please.
배터리가 있습니다. 이 커버를 열면 여기 이제 플러스와 마이너스 단자가 있습니다. 잘 체결되어 있는지
Explain in as much detail as possible.
창이 있습니다. 여기 불이 초록색이면 정상, 흑색이면 충전 요망, 흰색이면은 교환을 하시면 되겠습니다.
IG600을 한 5년 정도
From various angles.
IG700이 디젤이 나왔다고 해서 이걸 작년에 샀어요. 했는데 작년보다 올해가 많이 고안이 돼가지고 상당히 이제 바늘십도 깊어지고 뭐가 좀 잘 신기는 것 같고 모든 기능이 또 전자재다 보니까 많이 좋아진 것 같아요.
입구에 평소와 달리 차량이 길게 줄을 섰습니다. 한참을 기다린 운전자들이 사는 물건은 친환경 농산물 꾸러미와 딸기, 수국 화분. 코로나19로 학교 급식이 끊긴 농가들이 시금치와 오이파 등 농산물을 꾸러미로 만들고 딸기와 수국까지 시중가보다 30% 싸게 파는 겁니다.
The sale of drive-through agricultural product was inspired by the COVID-19 inspection method. Yeah. The RDA established a government organization called the Agricultural Technology Support Team cope with COVID-19. This organization searched the example of non-face-to-face farming technology and support to local conditions. We divided the generation of smart farm technology for increasing efficiency of distribution. The aim of first generation is improving practicality. We developed the smart farm technology for a plastic greenhouse, not glass greenhouse. The team created the tractor driving simulator 2 years ago, has developed a system that can learn how to manage crop in the greenhouse by using virtual reality technology. It will be distributed to the local extension service center next year. We use the digital twin technology. The RDA has virtual reality greenhouse, and the agricultural research and extension service of each province have the same real greenhouse, and at the same time consider various technologies that appear while farming and solve them together. Next, please. Digital transformation of agriculture led by RDA. In here, digital transformation of agriculture can be seen as data-based agriculture. For example, using drones and the digital insect trap for insect control. When insects appear in greenhouse, drones operate for coordinating and killing the insect. The drone costs around just $1 a unit. In open fields other than facilities, insect control using drone is carried out by the village unit. In order to prevent the concentration of workers at certain seasons, it is possible to solve the problem using big data by accurately predicting the flowering time by region and distributing varieties. Useong-gun is one of the major garlic production areas of Korea. We will change its cultivation method to make it easier to mechanize and use artificial intelligence irrigation technology to cope with drought. A basic experiment to realize precision agriculture by connecting auto-moving rice planter, drone for pest control, soil characteristics, and yield monitoring. It is being carried out with some agricultural machinery company. Next, please. Yeah. For agricultural research approach strategy, AI-based agricultural video analysis technology is being developed to automate growth and support database decision supporting system. In order to bridge the digital divide among elderly, the RDA has also developed a technology to control the environment in the greenhouse by voice recognition. The RDA set up the agricultural R&D approach strategies after COVID-19 situation, like these seven approaches. Next, please. The following illustration shows how the RDA set up the agricultural R&D approach strategies after COVID-19. After digitizing the agricultural sector, such as developing digital twin technologies by applying technologies such as virtual reality and augmented reality, the following 4 strategies will ultimately be used for agricultural R&D, agricultural technology extension, and agricultural education. Next, please. In addition, the COVID-19 crisis has brought some significant changes to our society. Rising public awareness on food security, increased interest in simple food and safe food. Therefore, small packing, home meal replacement, drive-through restaurant market will be developed. Next, please. Now, the important thing that we can feel about the COVID-19 crisis is that non-face-to-face society is expected to remain in the future, requiring a thorough reoperation of developed agricultural machinery technology. Changes are required in the form of revenue structure, from selling developed machines to providing data analysis service. Most importantly, we need to train experts who can incorporate the technology from various fields and apply them to agricultural sectors. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Son. We all know that AOK is one of the most successful countries to respond to COVID-19. So we are happy to see the various types of ICT-enabled mechanization technologies play a very important and unique role in response to COVID-19. So as well as the non-face-to-face services being promoted in AOK. So we also very enjoying your exciting video and music as well. Thank you so much, Dr. Song. So next, I would like to invite the next speaker, Mr. Cao Guangqiao, Deputy Director General, Nanjing Institute of Agricultural Mechanization, Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Affairs, China. So please, you have 8 minutes, please.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Lee. Good morning, everyone. My topic is improving post-harvest mechanization to reduce COVID-19 impact. Next, please. Next, please. Next, please. Yeah, okay. As we know, the global outbreak of COVID-19 virus has a great negative impact on agriculture. Firstly, due to the regional blockades and the traffic restrictions caused by the epidemic situation, which leads to prolonged constant delivery periods and the products decay and deteriorate. On the other side, under the epidemic situation, the economy slowed down and the purchasing power of consumers declined, which led to farmers' income decrease. In China, as you know, China had about 300 million people engaged in agricultural labor. Crops, fruits, and vegetables are their leading industries. Since the outbreak of the epidemic, the agriculture industries have been greatly impacted. As I know, more than 90% of China's agriculture machinery industry revenue is down from the same period last year. Next, please. Secondly, I want to talk about the problems that exist in the post-production mechanization in developing countries. The average loss of crops in post-harvest in developing countries is about 10%, of which the main loss reduction link is the drying and the storage process, and the storage loss exceeds 5%. Meanwhile, mechanization level of drying and storage is less than 10%. On the other hand, the bad storage leads to quality loss is large, and the energy is wasted during the operation. How about the fruits and vegetables? As I know, the lose up to 30% due to failure to adopt effective processing methods. Post-harvest commercial processing rates are less than 10%. Next, please. How about the equipment of post-harvest of crops, fruits, and vegetables? I think this includes two aspects. Firstly, it includes the drying and the storage of crops, and then fruits and vegetables primary processing, storage, and transportation means cleaning, sorting, drying.
So, Mr. Cao, so would you please speak louder, or the connection is not so good?
Okay.
Okay, that's good.
Next, please. Okay. You can see from this slide, I want to introduce the technical equipment level and the application of crops, drying, shelling, and storage. With the rapid development of crops drying industry in China, the sales volume of crops dryers continued to increase rapidly. Immediately after harvesting, using low temperature and large air volume to dry to save moisture, the continuous dryer has high output and occupies a large area, which is mainly used for corn drying in North China. Next, please. Here, I'll show you one case, regional crops drying and processing center. This center is a regional drying center, was established in capacity is 40 tons.
So Ms. Chao, the voice from your side is not so clear. Yeah.
Not so clear?
Yes, now it's okay. Please speak a little louder. Thank you.
Okay. I am near for the machine. Okay, the speed is okay? The sound is okay?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm very sorry. The center can afford crops drying service for the whole village of 3,000 acres and the nearby farmers. Comparing with the traditional drying, it can save 160 yuan renminbi per ton crops. The center is invested by enterprises and villages jointly, which is certain subsidy from the government. So the farmers can get extra dividends. Next, please. How about the technical equipment for fruits and vegetables in China? You can see fruits and vegetables cleaning are mainly based on cleaning methods such as friction, water flow, and air bubbles. And we also use the vegetable physical characteristics such as size and weight for sorting. Decantation technology has been industrialized. In addition to the traditional drying room, the heat pump, microwave, and vacuum technology has been matured. Next, please. Next, please. Here, I also want to show you another case. This is the regional fruits and vegetables processing center, and it was established for drying and storage of fruits and vegetables in Guangxi province. The center owns 103 storages with the storage volume, and the capacity is 7,000 tons, and has 20 drying facilities, and the capacity is 30 tons per day. During the epidemic, 7,000 tons of all kinds of agricultural products has been sorted, and one of the cooperatives can dry more than 3,000 kilograms of mushroom per day. Next, please. Next, I want to give some policy suggestions. I think it is includes three aspects. And the first is the model. I suggest that we should establish the regional drying and processing center for agricultural products, provide drying and processing service for nearby farmers and large growers. Secondly, we should improve drying and storage technology for crops, and fresh storage and transportation technology for fruits and vegetables. Last, we should strengthen infrastructure construction, formulate the professional policy and innovative organization cooperation mechanism. That's all for my presentation. Thank you for listening. Thank you for Mrs. Lee. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mr. Cao, for your very comprehensive introduction about the post-harvesting machinery. Thank you so much, very useful. I know, thank you all three presenters for your very excellent presentation, and I know a lot of questions waiting in this WeChat YouTube. We have more than 100 participants audience in WeChat. So there's some questions come from the WeChat group. Maybe we can see what kind of questions that we got from WeChat. So yes, yeah, we can see. Yes, yes. There's one question. My colleague helped me that. One of the government policies in twin digital technology, could you please explain it? So I think for ICT, so this question go to Dr. Song, please.
You told me about one example about the digital twin. That's right? I can understand you.
Sorry, the question is, please tell your government's policies about twin digital technology.
Twin digital technology, yes. As I told you about the twin. Okay, how about response next time? Give me a little second.
Yes, sure. Yeah, we will follow up that. So there's another question, maybe for Lasanta, how regional cooperation could support farmers to get access to agriculture machinery. Lasanta, how regional coordination could support farmers to get access to agriculture machinery.
I think the modeling, I think the modeling in Sri Lanka is working quite well because there's a good link, especially with the CSAM initiatives over the last 5 to 6 years. We've seen a bigger relationship being built up between partners in terms of manufacturers and importers and distributors in Sri Lanka. And that information and technology is taken to the field level by our importers and distributors. I mean, going forward, there should be more recommendations, even in the market study that is being finalized right now. What we're recommending is greater information to be shared, that is from the R&D centers and the manufacturers to generate the information and share it with the importers and distributors on this side. And for the importers and distributors on our side, to take back some of the difficulties, the practical difficulties that the farmers are facing, back to the manufacturers. You know, that information sharing will help us to tailor-make machines that are appropriate for specific agriculture mechanization solutions.
Thank you, Losanta, for your response. So I have another question. With the disruption of the food chain due to the logistic restriction and safety concern, how can we ensure food security for areas dependent on other regions for the supply? So, Ms. Darius, could you please respond to this question? Darius, would you please unmute? Yeah, I cannot hear you.
Sorry. Yeah. I think that for the logistic, now we are come back to the normal situation, and for in our country, along the first stage of the pandemic, we are also have the problem about the curfew measures. And we are also problem about to transport the agricultural products. But right now we are good. We are fine, and we are back to the normal way. So and for the next stage, we trying to develop about the logistic as the like a quality, more quality, like a cold chain logistics more. Yeah, that is our target, and about to develop many of things to help us inbound about the chain in the domestic. So the government will invest about 12,000 million US dollar to recover our business. Yeah.
Thank you, Darius, for your response. I know there's a lot of questions, very interesting questions come up from the YouTube chat, but we have a time limitation. So, so for our team, we'll follow up to the 4 presenters for the questions raised for you, and we will follow the other questions. So thank you so much. And also thank you, DES, for coming here, join us for the speaking, and also thanking for these all the audience to join our webinar. I think after this webinar, we would like all the participants to complete the webinar feedback survey by accessing the link being circulated on the YouTube chat. And also, so DS, would you like to add something more on this? So, Kavi? No. Okay. So I would like to thank all the presenters, thank DES, and thank all the audience for joining the webinar. Thank you very much. So bye-bye then.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.